and DTSC are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen.
And you're coming inside, use the f***ing width.
Come on, man, do your job right, fam.
What it was saying, right?
Seriously, I f***ing love you, man. Fucking came through them hearing it.
Yeah!
Let's go.
Yes!
Hello boys and girls, welcome to my preview of Watford against Arsenal this weekend. Finally, the Premier League is back after the international break. It only feels like the season started and already we're having a couple of weeks off for the international break. And then in a few weeks, we've got another international break. It's that time of the year that I do not like. Now, one of the problems as well going into the international break is if you don't win your game beforehand. We had Spurs. It would have been absolutely lovely going into a 2-week break if we had beaten them, but we didn't. So we've had to sit there for a couple of weeks, watch England, twiddle our thumbs and just wait for this. Now, a lot has gone on in the last couple of weeks. Watford, let's start with them. They started off the season really poorly. They've not won a game in their opening 4. Only 1 point, and that was last time out against Newcastle. Troy Deeney, the captain, he will not be available for this game either after he's had recent surgery. So there won't be none of the antics that we normally see on the pitch when he's there. And of course, during the international break, they sacked their manager. Now, I've spoken to a few Watford fans. Some of them believe that it was the right thing to do. Some of them, they're not happy about it. But it's the appointment of who they've brought in. It was their manager from a couple of years or so ago who they sacked back then, and they've now brought him back. So you've got to look at that and say, do they actually know what they're doing? Do the owners actually really believe what's going on? I'm not too sure, but this is possibly one of the worst times for us to go to Watford because they're going to have that new manager syndrome. They're going to have that extra fire in their belly because they're going to want to prove things to the new man. There's going to be new players there that never played under him when he was last as Watford manager. So they're going to want to prove a point. Of course, if there's players that are out of favour, maybe not playing up to standard, they're going to want to step it up a level. So yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for me. And Watford is never an easy place to go. You remember last year when we went there, we beat them 1-0. They went down to 10 men within the opening 10 minutes when Deeney got sent off for the elbow to Torreira. But over the balance of play, you would have thought that we were down to 10 men. And Watford should have got something out of that game. Minimum a draw. They could have easily beaten us. We were that poor. And we've got to rectify these problems. Now, 2 away games so far this season. 1 defeat, 1 victory. You look at the defeat, it was against Liverpool at Anfield. A lot of teams are going to go to Anfield and lose, so there's no disgrace in that. We went to Newcastle and we got the victory. It wasn't a great performance, but we got the 3 points. That's what matters. And this will be another test because where Unai Emery is going to get questioned this season will be our away form. We're absolutely fine at home and we have one of the best home records in the league. Only Liverpool and Manchester City have a better home record than us. So when you look at that, you think, where's the problems? It's away. And last season, Unai Emery never addressed our away form, which was carrying on from the Wenger times. It was abysmal. And ultimately, it cost us a place in the Champions League. So a lot of people are going to be looking at these kind of games and saying, right, what can you do? Can you not only get the 3 points, but can you show a little something within those games that you are going somewhere, that there's an identity to the club, there's an identity in the way that you're playing? Because at the moment, a lot of people are starting to question as to what we're really all about. 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 2-3 in front of that, or it's just, no one really knows. And I think that once we get the full quota of players back, then you might start to see what Unai Emery wants to do. I believe so anyway. But yeah, in terms of Arsenal, it's been an interesting week, and I'm glad that I recorded this video after the announcement that was made earlier today, because yesterday we all saw pictures of Hector Bellerin and Kieran Tierney back in full training with the first team, and we had a fully fit first team squad. They were all into training. You know, Rob Holding's ready for selection now, and you're looking at it and you're thinking, yes, finally we can see the light on the horizon and maybe we can sort this defence out. And then the news broke today that we've lost Alexandre Lacazette until October. Now, he picked up an injury to his ankle in the pre-season game against Lyon, and I don't think he's looked right ever since he's come back. He just lacks that little bit of sharpness, and it's obviously bothering him. And it's obviously one of the reasons why he came off in the Spurs game. Maybe one of the reasons why he started on the bench at Anfield as well. But that's a big miss. Big miss. But when you look at it, with the international break that's coming up, the fact that a lot of the games this month are Europa League, they are Carabao Cup, they're kind of games that Lacazette wouldn't be playing anyway. The one real big game in here and kind of around at the moment is Manchester United away. And that's right at the end of the month. But a lot of people are starting to wonder whether he will be fit for that. I hope he is anyway. But listen, we ain't got a bad replacement, have we? Because Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will no doubt go up front, and it gives a chance to some other players. So with that said, let's go and get into the starting 11. Starting off in goal, Bernd Leno. And like I always say, the very straightforward decision, and I don't think that I will have to change this in the Premier League unless there's an injury or some alarming dip in form. He'll want to maybe rectify, you know, the first goal against Spurs in the last game, but overall, good performance and made some blinding saves, so no questions whatsoever. Going to go into the back four. First of all, on the right hand side, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Hector Bellerin, like I said, is back in full training, but it's going to be a little while till he comes back here. He's going to be integrated, probably under 23 games, a bit like Rob Holding, and then we'll start to see Hector. But for now, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Going to go into the two in defence. Now, this is where there's been some questions raised lately. And you know what? I'm going to make some changes for this game, to be honest with you. I spoke about it in the podcast, and I was saying about David Luiz maybe coming out. But you know what? When I thought about it, no, I'm going to keep David Luiz in there first of all. Don't think he's done too bad since he's been here. Of course, there was them high-profile mistakes against Liverpool. But overall, he's been good. And I feel that he helps us with the way that we're playing in beating the press. And I've explained this in other videos. Next to him, I'm going to go with Calum Chambers because I feel it was a little bit hard done by to lose his place after the first game against Newcastle. I think he played really well that day. And I feel Sokratis has not been that great lately, to be honest. And I'd actually go with Calum Chambers, and let's see what him and David Luiz are like. Going to move into the left back position, and that is Kolasinac. And again, like the right hand side, Kieran Tierney is back in full training, but I feel that he's going to be a few weeks away until he's brought into the side. And, you know, some under 23 games, get him up with his tempo and his work rate and everything, and then he'll come back into the Premier League. But for now, we're going to have to go with Kolasinac. Now, the midfield area, this is, of course, where there's going to be a selection headache and some key decisions to be made by Unai Emery, and he has to get it right. First of all, I'm going to go with Lucas Torreira. I know he's not injured. He was on international duty. I think he's absolutely fine. The minutes he got against Spurs will do him good. He didn't look 100% up to it, but that's because he is lacking match sharpness. But obviously going on international duty, playing football, getting those minutes against Spurs, it's only going to help him. And I want him to sit there in front of the back four and be a defensive midfielder. Simple as that. Alongside him, I'm going to go with Gwen Dozy. Can't take him out of the side, to be honest with you. After his performance against Spurs, he was absolutely immense. And we need to see that every single week now. It's as simple as that. Don't matter how young he is, he's got to perform week in, week out. I'm going to go to the attacking three, and very interesting decisions to be made here. But first of all, on the right-hand side, Nicolas Pepe. And this one's a straightforward decision. People can sit and mock and talk and chat rubbish as much as they want, but we know what Nicolas Pepe is all about. And I'll tell you something, when he gets that first goal, he is gonna fly. Most dribbles, he's got assists, you name it. He's been doing it, but it's everyone outside of Arsenal that are questioning. Don't worry about that. Let him play his game. If he gets a goal against Watford, he's just gonna keep running and running and running. Going to move to the left of that three, and I'm going to go with Rhys Nelson. And this is a big opportunity for him now that Lacazette is injured. And it's a chance for him to come into the side and maybe stake a claim to be starting more regular. So, yeah, he's, you know, shows a lot of promise. We know what he can do, but he's got to deliver. He's got to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and he's got to grab his chance with both hands, a bit like Joe Willock has when he's played. But I've got no doubt that, you know, he will cause a lot of problems. And I think that's a good decision. Put Rhys Nelson on the left of that three. In the middle of that three, I'm going to go with Dani Ceballos. Now, Mesut Ozil is back, but he's not played any football at all, so I wouldn't even bother trying to start him in this kind of game. He's going to be brought back in slowly, probably play out in Germany in midweek in the Europa League, to be honest with you. Dani Ceballos, watched him for Spain on the internationals, and he looks absolute class. And the things he's saying as well gives you hope that he may well be a permanent Arsenal player soon. Fingers crossed anyway. Performance when he come on against Spurs changed the game, and we need the same thing. If you're going to have pace in the attack like we have, then you need someone like Dani Ceballos to supply them. Simple as that. Up front as the main striker, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Pretty straightforward decision now with Lacazette being injured, and Aubameyang loves it when he plays through the middle, and I feel this could be a good opportunity for him to bang in some goals. And he's got the supply around him, likes of Rhys Nelson, likes of Pepe, likes of Ceballos, Ozil coming back. No excuses, pretty straightforward decision. So there we go, that is it. That is the preview, that is the predicted 1 to 11. Watford versus Arsenal. We haven't won in our last two, so we need to get back to winning ways, especially when teams that are going to be fighting for that top 4 positions have been dropping a lot of points lately. So we need to worry about our business, get the 3 points, and then we can move on to the Europa League game on Thursday in Germany. So yeah, as I always say, if you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. Let me know what your predicted 1 to 11 would be. Would you go with that formation, that type, etc, etc. And yeah, keep an eye out for after the game. I'm going to be doing a player ratings, and of course there's going to be previews to the trip in Germany. There's going to be a match day vlog for the one in Germany as well, and there's also going to be player ratings after the game. So listen, we'll see what happens. Hopefully I've got a smile on my face Sunday evening. I'll see you a lot soon. I'm out of here.